The day has finally arrived. You all voted for this a while back, so today I present the next video in my So You're an F-Tier Breyer Model Horse series, all about Roy the Belgian. Hello, this is Erica aka ECR Horses 1901, and I kicked off this channel by tier ranking every traditional scale Breyer model horse mold. Inevitably, there were several molds who ended up in F tier, aka the very bottom, horses I thought were simply bad, and in whom I found zero redeeming qualities. In this So You're an F-Tier series, I look at one of those molds in more depth, talking about each model that has been made on it, and purchasing a copy of the horse to see if having him in hand helps the heart grow fonder or not. But before we can talk about Roy, we need to talk about his sculptor, Francis Eustace. Francis Eustace's horse sculptures were world-renowned and found in many museums, including the International Museum of the Horse at the Kentucky Horse Park. This is a picture I took of a display within the Kentucky Horse Park and the caption that went with it. Chances are, if you have gone to Breyerfest and spent some time in the museum, you have seen these as well. He also created trophies for the 1965 Arabian National Championships, and was just generally highly regarded for his superior work. In the description for this video, I will provide a link to the Model Horse Galleries page on him, which contains a multitude of links to many examples of his other models. And to note, he also bred Larry, I know you're there. I know that boy is there. And to note, he also bred draft horses and Jersey cattle. Be that as it may, we are here today to talk about Roy the Belgian, about whom in my tier ranking video I said, and I quote, "Yikes." And why they keep this awkward boy around, I really don't know. I could have been harsher, to be fair, because, spoiler, I really do not like this mold. And what is interesting is that if you do take the time to look through the model horse gallery, Francis Eustace made some really nice draft models. And this makes sense, especially if he was involved in draft horses in real life. I mean, look at that trotting Percheron, look at that standing Shire. At the same time, and this is not disparaging his obvious talent, you can kind of see the beginning of some of the same issues we see in Roy. You know, for example, I will point out this Belgian mold. Maybe it's something about Belgians. Will I learn to appreciate this boy? It's going to be an uphill battle, but let's find out. He appeared in 1989 as the regular run Roy the Belgian Drafter. He is chestnut with a lighter mane and tail, along with this rather prominent lighter patch on both of his flanks. I was really sus about this weird patch, so I looked up pictures of real Belgian horses, and I can kind of see the inspiration. Some Belgians, not all of them, but like this one here, do have lighter hair in the flank area, but not quite like this. The boxes these horses came in had a gold sticker that said Belgian Draft Horse Roy by Francis Eustace, famous horse sculptor, judge, and breeder of outstanding draft horses. Another thing that's interesting, according to Nancy Atkinson Young's Breyer Molds and Models, is that there was a rumor that shortly after Roy was released, Mr. Eustace had a dispute with Breyer and the model nearly got pulled from production. Nancy asked Peter Stone about this in 1995, and remember, Peter Stone had been, I think it was the head of marketing for Breyer for several years before he branched off and began his own model horse company. So she asked him about this, and he confirmed that Eustace disliked the model's color and, shocker, wanted to alter the flank patches. He, meaning Francis, was also frustrated by Breyer's, and I don't know exactly what this means, but I quote, art by committee approach. Well, while this wasn't the end of the Roy mold, it's unclear if this is why the initial regular run was so short, only lasting through 1990, a single year. But never fear, because he swiftly reappeared in 1991 as a Belgian Brabant regular run, which lasted through 1993. They tried. Apparently, the rust-colored shading is more prominent in some models. I don't really have much else to say about this one. Might as well move on. In the middle of that regular run, Roy was used as part of the drafter set in the 1992 Sears Holiday catalog. As you can see, this set consisted of a liver chestnut Roy, a Palomino Shire, and an Alabaster Belgian. He looks okay in the head-on shot, but from the side, with the two red socks and the semi-gloss, which just makes him look greasy, this is a big no for me. I guess, to be fair, he has some level of collectability though, as only 2,250 sets were made. In 1993, Roy appeared as a Breyer live auction lot for the first time. This was a test color Alabaster Roy, which I wish we had a picture of, because it sounds interesting. Unfortunately, we don't have selling prices for 1993's auction lots. We only know that the bidding started at $50. After the Brabant run ended in 1993, the mold only got to rest for a couple of years, because in 1995, he was used as a Breyerfest live auction lot for the second time. This time, he was a dappled sorrel with red and white tail ribbons. I'm going to assume that that round spot was a sticker or something of that sort. In this specific context, it looks as though this color may have suited him. Well, he sold for $525, which was a respectable price for that year. There were a few outliers that went over $1,000, but for the most part, selling prices were in the $300 to $600 range. Total aside, as I was looking through the auction lots on Identifier Breyer for this year, I noticed that we have a very mysterious lot number 13, like go figure of all numbers, that was not sold. There is no detail on what it was, just it was taken out and not sold. Now I'm super curious what that lot was and what the story is there. 1996, and Roy returned as a new regular run model, Sebastian Percheron. Choices were definitely made. First of all, I wasn't sure Blue Roan was a color that Percherons could even be, but according to PercheronHorse.org, the website for the Percheron Horse Association of America, they can. It's just that gray and black are most common. So with that sorted, all I can say is that this paint job is very much of the late 90s and might look better on a different mold. The hoof stripes might be a bit much though. I mean, even for the 90s. I don't know though, cause I get a copy of Moonshadows recently, who is from 1994, and also a Blue Roan, and he is much nicer than this. Although Sebastian's run ended in 1997, the mold reappeared as a different regular run in 1998, this time as a semi-gloss black Percheron cross. I think perhaps the Roan should have been the Percheron cross, and this guy could have been the straight-up Percheron, but that's just me. There's really not much to say here. Because of the era, there is not much special going on. No dapples, maybe a bluish tint, but it's honestly hard to tell because there are very few pictures of this guy online. And if anything, this colorway shows some lumpiness in this mold that I hadn't noticed before. A little bit like the John Henry mold. Maybe not surprising that this regular run ended the following year, in 1998. And that was actually the final regular run on this mold until very recently. In 1999, Roy was a Breyerfest live auction lot for the third time. This year, he was a flea-bitten gray Belgian. And you know what? For Roy, I don't hate it. I really think they tried to make him look nice here. He sold for $600, and whereas back in 1995, that was a respectable price for an auction model, by 1999, just a few years later, that was definitely on the lower end. Later that same year, Roy was part of the Legacy gift set 2, along with a Clydesdale full, in the Sears holiday catalog. He's fine, and as part of a children's gift set, yeah, why not? Well, Breyer let the Roy mold rest for about a decade. And when he did return in 2010, it was as Prefert's Radar, a Breyerfest store special with 750 made. And what a difference time makes. Although the mold still is what it is. This is a nice colorway on him, and we have details, jazz hands, like dappling that this mold so sorely needs to distract from some of its more bizarre elements. For the record, Radar was an actual 19.3 hand. 19.3 and a half hand. Belgian, who was recognized by the Guinness World Records as the world's tallest living horse in 2006, 2007, 2008, and 2009. If this guy showed up at Breyerfest and you remember seeing or meeting him, please tell us about it in the comments, because that is crazy. I mean, I rode an 18-hand horse for a while and he was unimaginably tall, so I can't imagine a 19.3 and a half hand horse. Just, that's ridiculous. It was 2015, however, when Roy truly got his time in the sun. He was selected to represent the Ardennes stallion, Simba du Pont des Tournées, that year's Breyerfest celebration model. Why exactly Simba's owners chose the Roy molds, I will never know. I can't help but think there had to have been a better choice, but if the owners were happy with it, and we can only assume they were, it is what it is. That said, this was the model that I bought a copy of, and I will say this, the paint job is nice. It's not altogether perfect, but I do like the Roning, especially. We'll talk more about him later. As per usual, a glossy version of Simba was given out as the prize model for the Breyerfest Masquerade Parade, as well as costume contest winners, and as part of the silent auction, 40 glossies in total were made. In November of 2017, Breyer offered members of the Collectors Club a chance to be in a raffle for a Bayron Roy test piece. And if you were picked for the cost of $650, he could be yours. The description noted that this model was probably from the year 2000, which I thought was interesting because that was the beginning of his decade-long rest. So maybe initially they had some other ideas for him. Anyway, I don't care for this colorway on him at all. Having his head and legs a different color from his body, which I know it's standard for the Rones, but anyway. For him, it just highlights how janky this mold is. Needless to say, this is not a raffle that I would have entered. After Roy's Breyerfest celebration model turn, he got yet another rest until 2022. Then he appeared in his latest and to this point, last regular run as the light gray Percheron for the Breyer Breeds collection. This model is fine, no more, no less. Again, probably a good gift for a child or a younger collector, but I would be surprised if any serious collectors, other than Super Roy fans, and I'm sure they're out there, were super thrilled over this guy. He has since been retired, although I could not find exactly when. And that leads us to Roy's final use thus far. In 2023, he was a Breyerfest live auction lot for the 4th time, a Silver Bay Tobiano. For Roy, they pulled out all the stops. You've got dappling, you have mapping on the edges, you've got shading and shoes. It is truly the best he's ever looked. On that, I can agree. He sold for $14,000, which I had to check because I was confused at first, but I verified this 3 times. That ended up being the second highest selling auction horse that year. Yeah. And that is it for Roy as of September 2025, which means we are now at the part of the video where I ask myself, is it still an F tier mold? As mentioned, I bought a copy of Roy, so I got one of the Breyer Fest Simba DuPont des Tournées unboxed. He came with a 2015 magnet and also this fun ribbon, like barrette, that I had actually been planning to wear, but because of the clip on the back, the style of clip, it wouldn't connect to my clothing, and my hair is really, really thick, and I just couldn't get it to work out right. But trust me, if I could have figured out a way to wear it, I would have been wearing it throughout this whole video. I actually got the whole lot from Stormy Strike, who I am sure you are all familiar with, on eBay. Now, as I was unpacking him, my initial thought was that he's not as bulky of a model as I figured he would be. I was expecting something like physically heftier, like when I did the video for the Shire Mare way back. Now, I've had him nearby for several days, just kind of around, like on my work desk, on the kitchen table, you know, just kind of hanging out. And I will say, I've warmed up to him a little. As I mentioned, I don't hate this particular model on this mold. And this guy is a nice enough copy. You know, not like he would ever be a show horse for me. I mean, he has one tiny little mark on him, but otherwise, technically, he's quite nice. But I have to say that he really falls into a no man's land of Breyer draft molds. He's not as nice as some of the older molds, such as, I'm thinking of the Clydesdale Stallion and Mare in particular, and he's certainly not as nice as the newer ones, such as the Shire Gelding, aka Shannondale, who is probably my favorite Breyer draft mold overall. And actually, I didn't plan for Benelli to specifically be in the background of this video, but yeah. And because looking at all the different iterations of Roy over the years, there are really only a couple that I think are okay, not great, maybe good if I'm being generous. I am afraid that this boy is staying solidly in F tier. I tried. I really did. And this is going to be a weird thing to say, but I certainly have more empathy towards the mold. I don't know. And I certainly have more appreciation for Francis Eustace, but I cannot, in good conscience, put this boy any higher. The way I'm holding him makes him look so sad. Sorry, bud. It's okay. You're in good company, I promise. So as far as what is up next, I think I'm actually gonna do a short haul video because I think for a lot of us Breyer collectors, we've just been inundated with sales and specials and all sorts of things coming out recently. So yeah, I figured I don't do a lot of hauls, I may as well do a short haul video and show you the things that I've gotten recently. And then I may do another F tier video just because I feel like this has been dragging on for a little bit, and these are relatively easy videos for me to do. So I can tell you for sure that it's either going to be on Touch of Class or Misty's Twilight, just because those are the other molds that I currently have on hand. I mean, I also have a Midnight Sun, but I've mentioned before, like, I will eventually do a video on that horse, but, so, if you're not aware, Midnight Sun is a model that depicts a big lick version of a Tennessee walking horse, so there's obviously going to be a lot to unpack with that model. or with that mold, so I will get to it, but I need to make sure I'm doing it justice, and so that is going to the very end of the list. Like, that might not happen until winter break. Other than that, if you have any pressing ideas for a future video you would like to see, feel free to throw it in the comments. I am always open to suggestions. So that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. What are your opinions on Roy the Belgian? I would love to hear them. Seeing as one of them sold for $14,000, he clearly has some fans out there, so yeah, if he's a favorite of yours, I'd love to hear it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.